Good morning. Today we're going to talk about the TSProf K03. I believe this is the Hunter edition, but with the quick clamps. At one point they had quick clamps. Full disclosure on this video is I contacted TSProf and asked them to send me this system. I saw this system on Cedric and Ada's channel and it totally piqued my interest, and I really wanted to check it out. The problem was that I already had the Hapstone R2, which for my use I had kind of outgrown. So the problem with the Hapstone R2 was it was a long time to set up and break down, and I had put a lot of money into the R2 to make it better than what it was stock, and I really didn't have the money to invest in a whole new system. So I reached out to TSProf and discussed with them and said, hey, can I pick this up? Can you send this to me? I'll do some reviews. I'll do a whole bunch of content on it. And they said, yes, sure. That being said, I want to go over a couple things that I really appreciate about the system. Is the fit and finish. The build quality is absolutely excellent. I've done 30 or 35 knives probably. I know at least 30 knives on here. Maybe a few more than that. And one of the reasons I was after this system was it was bigger, heavier than a lot of the smaller systems out there, but it was these quick clamps. Just the fact that I can lock a knife in by twisting these around, whatever direction they need to go, and clamping it was absolutely wonderful to me. And then it seemed like it did have better adjustment, fine adjustment, than other systems, so I'll get into that in a little bit as well. Before we do a deep dive into this, I'm going to say, is it worth getting, right? Instead of you sitting through the whole video, should you get it, should you not get it? You can watch the whole video, but I say yes, it's totally worth getting, and I'll get into reasons why that is. But if you're doing a higher volume of sharpening, professional level sharpening, it's totally worth it. However, there are some things that I would like to see improved on it. So we'll get into that as well. So first we'll go over some really basic operations, some really nice features that I like. I guess we're going to sprinkle in the nitpicky stuff as well. So these clamps are wonderfully, the knurling back here is nice and sharp, not quite sharp. It's very grippy. You can adjust the center here, the tension here on the center very easily. So usually it doesn't spin past that point. But if you spin it a little too fast, that'll pop back. My first thing that I have with this is if you're doing smaller blades, and I do a lot of EDC blades, is this one kind of just is long enough to fit in both clamps. But when you're sharpening out here on that bevel, it's not going to be long enough. Like, that clamp is too close to the tip. So I got to run one clamp. I would like to see a central Y clamp that is also a quick clamp. So I did look it up. They do have a Y clamp, or offset clamps. The Hapstone has these clamps that are offset, so when you flip them over, they can either stick out, or you flip them back and they stick together to form one central Y clamp, and I like that. Maybe if there's I think somebody makes a third-party accessory where you can do like an offset block that comes out, so then you can bring the clamps closer together. But I got to double check on that. I think that's something that I saw. All right. So to lock these in, you'll put your knife in, and if your clamp is adjusted properly, you can just push back. Sometimes, depending on the grind, a lot of my EDC stuff is full height ground, and this doesn't feel quite secure enough. See how I can kind of move the knife around? And that was kind of my one concern about this, was can these clamps actually get tight enough to hold the knife as tight as I like it? And the answer to that is yes, because you can keep cranking these around. They actually have a surprising amount of room, and now the whole system moves instead of the knife moving. Would I like a little bit more support at the tip, especially on thinner stock, thinner grinds? Yes, but I can work with it. Another extremely high selling point to me was the angle cube. Let's make sure we have this in shot. So this is going to be wrong right now. Let's make sure of that. That doesn't show. Okay. So this will be incorrect right now, because what happens is when you change your surface that this is sitting on, you need to use the calibration block and recalibrate the angle cube. But the fact that I have an angle cube that I can sit on here and it'll tell me, okay, you're sharpening at 19.1 degrees. Oh, sorry, gotta flip it this way because the handle's sticking out. And then this side should be, yep, 19.1. That was the other thing that I really liked about this system, was the repeatability when it comes to flipping. When I flip it and I get a 0.1 to 0.2 degree variability, absolutely stellar. This saves so much time, this angle cube, instead of placing my angle cube every time I need to make an adjustment. And adjustments are very, very fast. With this, I have up, down. I have very fine adjustments. I can go 0.1 degree increments, and I can lock that in and go from there. And then there's actually an additional area of adjustment. Let me move you guys around. So there is a lock here to lock your adjustment. You can undo this lock to do very fine adjustments. There's very little play in the knob. That's a very small amount of backlash. And then if you need to go further adjustments, there's another knob up top that you can loosen, and then this whole rod can come up as well. I only needed that one time on a fairly tall knife that I needed to do a slightly more obtuse bevel on. All in all, this system seems extremely robust. I will have to do a video of an actual sharpening procedure, but it's like any other guided system. But one of the reasons why I say, actually, before I get into why I think you should buy it if you need a system like this, are a couple things that I'd like to see changed. On my Hapstone, this whole angle, now this might not be possible with the way that they built this, or its intended purpose. I stand when I sharpen, and this is on a waist-high bench, because that's just what I'm used to. I don't really like sitting down and sharpening. But the Hapstone that I have is, this whole thing is tipped, right? So we're going to tip it like this. It's tipped at like an 18-degree angle, and that's really nice, because then when I lay my stone on here, it doesn't go anywhere. And one thing that I have a problem with is, if I want to take an angle measurement, I don't necessarily want to have this extended all the way out down here. I want to take it here. Does it make a difference? No, but it's just kind of what I like to do. But, you know, I can't just rest my stone. When the whole system is tipped up, I can just rest my stone anywhere I want. If I'm in, you know, mid-stroke and I get interrupted, I can just leave it there. So that's the one thing that I definitely don't like on it, is that it just slides down. And then these stoppers, the limit stoppers, I feel like the springs could be a little bit stronger, where I find myself, if I don't compensate for that compression, that I might run off the knife in one direction or another. So yeah, those are two things that I'd like to see different. And then another one is this ball here. The Hapstone system has a larger kind of oval. Even if it's just a ball like this one and the ball is larger, it would probably be more comfortable in the end. Those are just some nitpicky things. And again, like a quick central Y clamp or some sort of offset, so I can bring these clamps closer together, so I can have, you know, maybe the other clamp here as some support. So those are the nitpicky things. The whole thing came in an awesome wooden box. This system came with stones. Pretty much everything you need to get started. Actually, everything you need to get started. And then we're going to jump into why I think you should get this system. And maybe I'll grab the Hapstone so we can throw the Hapstone next to this and compare. So again, we're talking about this system, comparing it to other systems. With this other system that I can only compare it to is the Hapstone. That's the only other guided system I've used. Perfect. They're both in the shop. So this Hapstone did not come this way. I had to upgrade the clamps. You can see how much smaller it is, but you can see how these clamps are angled, and that's just more comfortable for me, when I'm doing a stand-up sharpen, now this might be more comfortable for sit-down sharpen, because I've tried sit-down sharpening with this, and I don't like it for sit-down sharpening, which is why I stand. So this might be more comfortable for sit-down sharpening. I have not tried that, because my workbench is just set up for stand-up sharpening. Now, the Hapstone here, I had to buy these clamps. I then also had to buy the upgraded riser, so I have fine adjustment, because the other one is just garbage. This has a good stone parking. I kind of like the stone parking on this one better than on this one, but that's a nitpicky thing. It's not a huge deal breaker. Sometimes on this system, when I'm like way out on a tip and my stone is angled, I can bump in to this top part up here. I don't even know if that's in camera. It is. Awesome. Whereas this one, you have a lot of clearance and you don't really hit anything. Or this one, you can definitely hit those tops. So if this piece was just this whole section was a little bit taller and maybe this a little bit longer, I would like stone parking a little bit more. And then it would actually just, lift your stone up a little bit more in the air, which might be nice, because sometimes I put this and then it rotates back in my way, but my workbench is not level. Anyway, this also did not come with stones. This came with stones. After all the upgrades that I put into this and buying all the stones for it, it's nearly the same cost as the TSProf K03. Then it's kind of like, why, right? I use different stones than what TSProf sent. I've used those stones a little bit as like field sharpening stones, and they're fine. They're just plated diamond. But I use resin bonded diamond. I just like them better. But after all that money is invested into here, I have other tables and accessories, but I don't think I included that. I think I just included this with the clamps, the upgraded riser, and a set of stones of the Veneve Alpha Centauri stones. This and this are pretty much the same price. So, in my eyes, if I knew that going into this system, I would have gotten this system. If I realized that, but I did not. And that's the reason why I would say the TSProf looks expensive on paper. I think it's like $749 on their website. But it comes with everything you need, and especially there's the ones with the quick clamps right now might be $850 or like $845 or something like that. And I think the quick clamps are totally worth it. If they don't come with quick clamps, they come with regular clamps. These are fine for if you're just doing like one knife, two knives every once in a while. But I was doing 30 knives back to back, and it was just more and more setup time, and it was killing productivity. It was the setup time of the Allen wrench, and it was the setup time of coming and grabbing my angle every single time. So that has resolved these issues. I think there's more rigidity in this whole system than in this system. There's more weight to this, so it likes to stay still. This one I've moved. I've had the rubber feet pop off of. This one has 3.5, 4 years into it, and this is 2 months, I think. Yeah, 2 months. So I might have done 60 knives on this, but no, I've only done 30, maybe 35 knives on this. But yes, so anyway, we'll move this out of the way. We don't want that in the shot. The TSProf K03, 100% worth the money. This week, they have a Black Friday sale. I believe it starts on Friday. You can check their website. I checked last night, and it said like 5 days. Save some money. If you follow the affiliate link in the description, you can also save a little bit of money, and it kicks back a little bit. To me, if you don't use my affiliate link, okay, it is what it is. I'm doing this because I want people to be informed and perhaps save themselves from having a system that they might regret. This system is solid, 100% worth it. A few minor improvements would really elevate this to the next level. But those are just very minor improvements. There's really no major red flags here, where the Hapstone it was a pain in the ass to use if you did invest more money into the system. This is ready to go out of the box. Just need a knife and to charge your angle cube. The angle cube is rechargeable. It's absolutely wonderful. Great system. Check it out. Thank you for your time.